Welcome to the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus. With over 300 acres of medical research, innovation, treatment, and education. The neurosurgery department is home to 38 faculty members, 21 advanced practice providers, 14 residents, and 7 fellows. We serve several different hospitals. With 10 different programs of excellence, we provide treatment, medical education, and cutting-edge research. The Department of Neurosurgery is on a mission. We want Colorado, already one of the healthiest states in the country, to become a center, a leader in brain health. One of our many areas of interest is brain tumors.
Welcome to the University of Colorado. I'm Kevin Lillihigh, Chair of the Department of Neurosurgery. For the last 3 decades of my career, I have been dedicated to the treatment of patients with brain tumors, and particularly dedicated to patients with high-grade gliomas. At this point in time, our survival in patients with high-grade gliomas is 12 to 18 months at best, and this involves all of the treatments that we have: surgery, radiation, chemotherapy, and even some innovative immune therapies. Well, starting about 10 years ago, we started to collect tumor samples from all of these patients. And the reason being is that we could look into these tumor samples and try to find and basically test innovative therapies. Well, that brain tumor tissue bank has now turned into over 1,000 samples here at the University of Colorado, and is a tremendous resource in the exploration of innovative treatments for these tumors. In this video, we'd like to introduce you to the Brain Tumor Tissue Bank, but also introduce you to some of the families and some of the stories of those who have contributed to the tissue bank.
In 2009, Cherie was a graphic artist working for a major oil and gas company in downtown Denver.
Okay.
And she went to work and had a seizure.
So she had a biopsy. And then we had a meeting with the doctor, and he tells her that it's glioblastoma, and she has a few months to live.
We began a search for a brain surgeon in the country that would tackle that, and we contacted a lot of different hospitals and facilities, and had no luck at all.
And at that point, we didn't have much hope because of the prognosis.
And then, by God's miracle, Mr. Phil Anschutz and his wife Nancy and son Christian introduced us to you.
I think we saw you on a Monday, and you scheduled her for her first surgery on a Friday. Unheard of. I mean, we had hope then.
We had hope. And the operation was very successful.
It just couldn't have gone better. Yeah, and it went really well, and you came out and you said you got the tumor and a margin. And I said, oh, then she's cured. And you said, wait a minute. It doesn't quite work that way.
So she got the trial, came back to the U.S., ended up with a 4th surgery, I believe.
Yes, sir.
She was just more worried about her parents and what we were going through than what she was going through. And she said, I'm going to be okay, Mom. It didn't look promising, but she did live another year, and I credit you for that.
As a former military general, we need to get the resources in place so you as the commanding general can basically tackle this enemy. We brought you in on a telephone conference with the Goldwater Institute in Phoenix, Arizona. The Goldwater Institute, they promoted Right to Try. Right to Try, of course, was signed by the president, and it's giving more people with terminal illnesses an opportunity to try experimental treatment. I have a pin on my jacket right here. A general in the Israeli Defense Force gave that to me. There's a philosophy the Israeli Defense Force has. It's called Rosh Gadol, which means big head, literally. Now, it doesn't mean big ego, but it means thinking outside the box, being innovative. And that's what they do both in their military as well as in their medical side. And I think culturally we need to think outside the box, and we need to come up with treatments and resources that can support people like you that can tackle this problem.
Really, the time starting with Cherie, is when we started the Tumor Bank. It was a little over a decade ago. And it has actually turned out to be helpful nationally. Clinical trials, they'll come to us and say, look, I got an idea. Can we test it on 30 glioblastoma samples? It's given us the infrastructure. The problem becomes, again, finances. To be able to do the things that you really want to do doesn't come cheap.
Right.
And Cherie said that, Mom, I don't mind going through everything that I've gone through if it's going to help somebody else.
She was a young woman, and her prognosis was months and then just a short period of time. And that can't stand. You know,
This is Anthony Fringuello, a neuroscience researcher who, up until recently, was the Brain Tumor Tissue Bank Coordinator. His job was to obtain consent from patients who were preparing to undergo brain tumor surgery, and then acquire and process the materials and tissues from the surgery. Anthony is now working on his PhD in New York, and this job is now being done by Aaron Granner, a young scientist who is coordinating this effort. Both Aaron and Anthony asked patients if they would be willing to donate tissue from their surgery that would be discarded anyway. Each patient is under no additional risk, and they still receive the same standard care, regardless of whether or not they participate in the brain bank. The tissue taken from each patient at the time of surgery may be as small as a pinpoint or as large as the palm of your hand. The tissue must be taken fresh because once it is preserved, it can change the chemistry of the sample. This is one of the many reasons that this brain tissue bank is so unique. Some of this fresh brain tissue is flash frozen, and the rest is used to grow new cell lines from these samples. These cell lines, which can live forever, become the basis for innovative, amazing research. In addition, blood and other fluid samples are often obtained, providing even more critical information. Dr. Xiaoli Yu is a PhD researcher and assistant professor of neurosurgery who does backup coverage for the brain bank. She also does research with MS patients and finds academic collaborators for the brain bank. She explains that recent funding from the NIH is being used for phage display, the process of using tiny bacterial viruses to combat cancer cells. She uses the phage to target exosomes, tiny vesicles that cells spew out. The exosomes from cancer cells may be markers for the cancer, which means they could be used for diagnosis and prognosis of brain tumors. Cancer exosomes also enable cancer growth, so targeting those vessels could be a way to treat brain tumors. NIH reviewers cited our bank as an invaluable asset to accomplish the goals of that grant proposal. Neurosurgery collaborates with many entities across campus, as well as multi-center projects with labs at CU Boulder, Colorado State University, and Louisiana State University, to name a few. Our Brain Tumor Tissue Bank is a remarkable resource that allows novel research studies that cannot be done elsewhere. This is Dr. Michael Grainer, Research Director of the Brain Tumor Tissue Bank. He is the past president of the Society of Thermal Medicine and a fellow of the Cell Stress Society. Most of Dr. Grainer's career has been spent in researching brain tumors and trying to find new approaches to treatment. The bank is now involved in the International Glass Consortium and the US-based Orion Network. These organizations use samples from numerous tumor banks across the world, including ours, to compile large data sets that no single lab or tissue bank could even hope to generate. Every patient is different. Every tumor is different. The only way we can come up with personalized precision medicine is to study these tissue samples in depth and over time. Without patients who are willing to donate their tissue, and without philanthropic partners in the community who support this work, we could not do what we are doing.
Right at the end of April is when it happened. I couldn't get the words out of my mouth, and I was really frustrated. And I was just trying to send my friend this message, and I was like, I don't know why I can't. I could think what I wanted to say, but I couldn't. It wasn't coming out of my mouth. It was just really weird. I went and told my husband. I was like, I don't know what's happening here. I can't make the words come out of my mouth, and I'm like, I started to get really nervous. I'm a very optimistic person. I mean, if I'm going to do something, it's going to be because I believe that that's going to happen. If I decide that, okay, maybe that's not going to be what I thought it was going to be, then boom, it's all over. But if I keep the optimism, then I can think about that instead, and I can think about other people. And it's not easy, but I would focus on what can I bring to other people that would help them feel the joy, not necessarily just feel better, but know that you're here for a reason. And even me, it's terrible, but at the same time, what can I do with the time that I have left? I want to win so bad. Because all everybody wants to say is it's going to be 18 months. That's it. I don't get anything else.
My brother died of a glioblastoma.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And he, every time he went to the oncologist, they made a point of telling him what his survival would be. And he would come back to me and say, don't they think I heard it the first time?
Right. If that's really all it comes down to, if it really all just comes down to 18 months, then why are we even trying?
I think the future is going to be some form of immune therapy.
Okay.
But it's not there yet.
Right.
But it's getting there. And it'll be a combination of vaccine therapy along with what are called PD-1 inhibitors. I don't know if you've heard of that. Sort of thing, which is it essentially revs up the T cells, which is your body's immune system that goes out there and searches out foreign cells. To it. So the research that we're doing here is, and a lot of the tumor bank, a lot of the specimens at the tumor bank that we're using is towards looking at the immune system.
Okay.
And hopefully coming up with a vaccine therapy there's a lot of purely vaccine therapies in the country, and they're not working.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be more than just a vaccine therapy. It's got to be a vaccine therapy combined with something that inherently revs up the immune system. So that's what a lot of that money is going to support in the tumor bank.
Yeah.
There's also some studies going on and looking at something called methylation, whereas if you methylate a protein, it shuts it down.
Ah.
So if you you've probably heard of MGMT, which is what they stain your tumors for.
Okay.
If you methylate different proteins, it changes the behavior of the tumor. So everybody's searching for the magic drug, that can methylate a certain protein and change the behavior of the glioma. And so we've got one of our researchers that runs 50 drugs at a time. He'll test on different samples to see if in fact any of those it will be a home run.
I think you never know where you're going to get in life. I want to live, but if I don't live, I don't want to spend all the time thinking about what I didn't have while I was living.
thank you for joining us. Continuing our work with the Brain Tumor Tissue Bank is one of our highest priorities, and we'd like to thank those who have supported the mission up to this point in time. If you'd like to know how you can help us, please feel free to contact us.